Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. What a show we have for you tonight. Here at Retro Trekkers, we normally look back at some of our favorite, maybe some of the most infamous episodes of Star Trek. This one, we're doing something new. It's new. We should talk about it. So let's get into it.
Retro Trekkers. Get down with the Retro Trekkers. Capt'n John.
All right.
Cmdr Joe. Retro Trekkers.
Oh boy. All right. As always, my first officer, the best damn head of science fiction department on any ship. Have you met our good friend Joe Townsend? Joe, what a show we have tonight. Oh my gosh. How you feeling?
I'm a loss for words already. We're just barely introducing ourselves, and wow, I mean, I'm sure people in our audience will agree. I've already heard from a couple of them actually before the show, and
Yeah.
this is a doozy. This is a humdinger tonight.
We're talking about the Paramount Plus exclusive. It's a made for TV, made for streaming. It's a made for streaming movie that takes the place of a series that almost happened, Section 31. And we have a special guest to help us review it tonight. And boy, does he have some things to get off his massive chest.
We
Ladies
couldn't
and gentlemen,
stand to suffer alone, just John and me. So
have you met our good friend? Let's bring him aboard, Commander Eric Kramer. Commander, welcome aboard.
Absolutely. Live long and prosper, guys, because none of us may work again after this show is over.
All right.
God, I love your theme music. And I just realized I need lighting. That's what I need.
You know, it's your next step. And
I
happy
needed
to
the
help.
shirt. I was focused on the shirt. Thank you guys so much for the shirt. But now I realize I need like lighting to fill this out.
The ensigns are here. Joshua's here. Raphael is here. Chris is here. Fantastic. Well, good to have you with us. Welcome, ensigns. And my goodness, let's do a very, very quick overview. And of course, that comes under the brand.
now, John, not that it's probably necessary, but we should advise that spoilers ahead.
Oh,
in case you
thank
haven't
you.
seen it, in case you want to.
Thank you, Joe.
Would,
You know what? Let's also allow one of the ensigns to start a little bit of controversy. Raphael is an Eagles fan, and he's coming at you, Eric.
Didn't even get a chance to play, man. Actually, I'm all Eagles. I'm all Eagles for the Super Bowl. I'm all Eagles for the Super Bowl. I'm all in.
Interesting. Okay.
I have Chiefs fatigue like you would not believe. I hope the Eagles take them 80-0.
Let's talk about Star Trek for those nerds of us who don't know anything about football. Not a thing. I don't know a thing. I know the Chiefs exist. I know the Eagles are actual football players. That's it. That's all I know. This is the 14th of the Star Trek movies.
are we going to be able to not even mention this without laughing?
It's crazy. It's crazy. The 14th, it is directed by very prolific director Olatunde Osunsami. I've never learned how to say Olatunde's full name. I am so sorry. But a big director in New Trek, as it's called, the Star Trek that's begun with Star Trek Discovery, which started in 2017, I believe. I never wrote that down.
Yes, 2017. That I know.
I'm personally just surprised that the director of this didn't just use Alan Smithy, but What do I know?
Damn.
And curtain.
Yeah, seriously. The writers on this were Boyan Kim and Erica Lippolt, and apparently, if this had gone to series, they would have been the showrunners. So we could talk about that a little later. Oh my gosh, Raphael says this would not even have cut the mustard as an animated episode. We didn't see Lower Decks do it, so you're absolutely right. Hey, William Wells is here. Hey, William, thanks for joining us. Hey, Melanie joined us. Hi, Melanie. Okay, here we are. I like Section 1 better than the Abrams reboots. Oh, well, that's interesting. We are talking about movies here. This movie was rushed. Absolutely agree. Too much crammed into 95 minutes. Yeah. Would be better as a series. They left it open to continued adventures. Well, we're not gonna argue yet. That comes later in the show.
Yeah, we have different points of view to explore tonight.
Oh, we're always happy to have everybody's point of view. We're all here to review, and everybody's review is as good as anybody else's because we're just here as fans.
That's it.
Eric, I think it would be fair to say, if you don't mind me saying this, correct me if I'm wrong, your field of interest when it comes to Star Wars, your field of interest. Hang on, I'm leaving room for the edit. And there we go.
And yes.
Eric, your specific interest in Star Trek was born in the original series, TOS.
Yep.
And that's very much your favorite version. I think I could say that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Joe and I, especially because we've done everything, on this show, on Retro Trekkers and Starbase 80, which was the show we had before, we've done a lot. So we've covered a lot of Star Trek. There's some areas I'm definitely weak in and some I'm stronger in. But the new Trek, the Alex Kurtzman Trek, we're pretty well versed in that. We've watched a lot of that, you and I. This is not a bad idea. Start drinking now.
Eric, you made a wrong judgment call tonight.
The show. I have purposely left the liquor in my room. We're not going to touch it. Well, I don't know. If you see me leave,
I was going to say, feel free to change your mind at any time.
If you have to step out, we totally understand, Eric. We totally understand that booze is a long way away.
Well, I've always told John that when it comes to Star Trek, I've always seen it as one big universe. I'm hard pressed to pick a favorite, but again, I've always seen it as one big continuity, one big universe until this week.
Continuity is an interesting word. No, look, I mean, I mean, obviously the original series is absolutely my favorite. And there is stuff I love about everything else. I'm just not that well versed in it. Like I can't take you through the timelines. I can't,
Yeah.
Well, but we're happy then, Eric, to bring you kicking and screaming into this aspect of it this week.
Oh yeah, thank you for bringing me in on this one. And thank you guys enough for making me watch this.
Let's jump to our next segment on the show. Oh no. Here we go. We're gonna do the beats. This is where our good friend Joe Townsell exercises his Mad Magazine muscles and gives us an overview of the plot.
And they got to work out this week, I'll tell you.
We are going to go to the beats, as we call them, and it's a lot of fun. Feel free to say whatever you want in the comments, and keep it clean and not mean. But
well,
not
clean
mean to
anyway.
each other. Yeah, be mean to the show, but don't be mean to each other. Okay, so here we go. What did I do with it? There are the beats. Okay, so We're going to now watch the beats. As always, gentlemen, if you want to pause the beats, just raise your hand and I will pause the beats. And here we go. It's time.
Retro Trekkers, check in on the hiding in plain sight inept agents of Section 31. Sorry. I meant Section 31. You know, Paramount Plus flipped their logo and Star Trek's this week, so what the heck, we'll do it too. So, flashback to the good old days of the Terran Empire, aka the evil Mirror Universe. A hardworking family is toiling away in the desert. See Star Trek V or the Skywalker Farm in A New Hope.
Damn.
Dad is forging a sword that will be used for some very nasty business a little later. Then, much to their delight, the prodigal daughter returns. It's young Philippa Giorgio, who is so menacingly soft-spoken, you'll be reaching for the volume control on your remote. Giorgio has just completed a brutal 2-year contest to select the next emperor. The final test is yet to come, and she's eager to do well on the Mirror Universe version of the SATs. In fact, she is one of 2 remaining competitors, the other being her crush, a guy named San. Family reunion dinner time. Mom, Pop, and Bro soon begin choking on the Mickey she slipped in their soup. They expire, but it's all for the greater glory of the Empire. She has passed her test with flying colors, severing remaining ties with her old life. A ship materializes overhead, and a whole squadron of troops beam on down. The outgoing Emperor declares her the winner, while San is sentenced to be her slave. Funny how officers on starships advance by killing their superiors, but within government itself, promotion is achieved through a ceremonial transfer of power. Oh well. San chickened out, killing his family, so now he finds himself in this predicament. Have mercy on me, baby. Sorry, loser. Giorgio holds a white-hot sword blade against his cheek, giving him an owie, much worse than Sulu's in Mirror Mirror.
Interesting.
Oh, good lord. Flash forward. A ginormous space station, looking a little like Grandma's brooch, is bustling with activity. Giorgio is sipping a libation, irritated that her drink came with only 1 eyeball when she asked for 2. I mean, to compare, who would drink a martini with only 1 olive? Am I right? Giorgio owns the nightclub and is wondering if she can book that really cool band from the Mos Eisley Cantina in Star Wars. Her assistant, Virgil, informs her that she has a visitor. Hey, Virgil is one of those aliens from the planet Chiron. But weren't they all wiped out and let that be your last battlefield? Oh well, continuity be damned.
I just want to throw in, too, I don't recall them having 2-toned hair. I remember their hair.
They had their regular hair. Yeah.
No,
It was just their skin.
Frank Gorshin. Yeah, no.
Well, Frank Gorshin, he didn't want to part in the middle. He
Yeah.
parked on the side,
Yeah.
so, you know.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. What does Melody have to say? Virgil, son, all Charonites were killed off. Yeah, somewhere off world when Bele and Lokai saw their planet destroyed. Oh, somewhere off world. Okay.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, you know, I had to put in the joke, obviously, but not that Virgil himself isn't joke enough.
He's got a vibe. All right, here we go. Back in.
She's approached by Alok, a member of Starfleet's Secret Ops Unit. Dun, dun, dun. Section 31. And he's not alone. Also in the club are shapeshifter Quasi, a Cameloid, Zeph, who wears a mechanized Robocop suit, a seductive Delta named Melee, a giggly, then maniacal Vulcan named Fuzz, with a really fake, really annoying Irish accent. Also on deck?
Oh, right. I wanted to play this little game based on what Fuzz was doing. What is the absolute worst Irish accent you could possibly do? I have one. Hi, everybody. I am an Irish person in space. I know I did it almost as well as he did.
Better, I think.
Raphael says, wasn't Lou Antonio the other Sharonite? Oh, was he? Lou Antonio? I don't know. Good actor. Good actor. Melanie says the songs had early 21st century lyrics blowing up my phone. That's right. That's right. Oh my God. Oh, so terrible. So
I have to say, to his credit, though, there have been auditions where I would have killed to have had his Irish dialect because mine was so much worse.
It's a tough dialect, but clearly he didn't come at it gently.
No,
and I think
he was fully committed.
it was fully committed.
So to speak.
Absolutely. William, bear with us. I'm saving your comment. It's a good one. We're going to use it a little later. All right, here we go back into the beats.
Lieutenant Rachel Garrett of yesterday's Enterprise, or at this point in time, tomorrow's Enterprise. Love this music. So there's the story. That's how they all became the Section 31 bunch. There we go. Now, starting the counter on 20th century colloquialisms still in use in the mid-2320s, or at least in badly written Star Trek. Georgiou scoffs at Starfleet is where fun goes to die. Ayla cajoles her into joining their impossible mission and get back in on the action on a galactic scale. She meets the covert action team, who she and anyone else not 3 sheets to the wind spotted a mile away. Turns out that Fuzz is actually an android with a tiny little dude inside, controlling his movements. You know, like that thingy in Men in Black. Of course, this revelation makes the laughing Vulcan with the bad Irish brogue even more strange. Garrett pulled the short straw and found herself behind Federation lines for this detail. Quasi is a little leery of Georgiou, since her space Hitler genocidal murderous reputation precedes her. The Deltan seductress Melee does little more than flutter her eyelashes, but she'll most likely have a much more exciting part in this TV movie.
No doubt.
Their mission, should Georgiou choose to accept it, track down the designer of the bioweapon of the week, Dada No, and keep him from selling his genocidal, there's that word again, doohickey to the Minosian High Council. Georgiou mutters, and yawns. Sounds like a boring plan and a boring plot. Well, how about this instead? She welcomes Dada No to her club and escorts him to a tacky suite. She tosses the gadget onto his bioweapon carrying case. Or is it a bowling bag? Georgiou presses a button on the belt, and now she and her case are both vibrating on a whole nother phase, allowing them to pass through normal matter like Ghost. Well, except for the floor. See TNG's next phase. Georgiou skedaddles with the case. A masked man wearing a rejected costume design for The Mandalorian enters the room. He is also out of phase and is demanding the weapon. He and Georgiou fight for it, chasing each other through walls and duking it out on the nightclub's main stage. In the continuing spirit of ripping off other franchises, the odds have been stacked in his favor. If the Star Trek mysterious masked man blows it, the Terminator and RoboCop are on deck, desperate to salvage their own movie series. The masked man disintegrates Melee with his phaser in the scuffle. Well, so much for the comely Deltan being an integral part of the story. Georgiou runs through another wall, but one foot gets stuck mid-phase.
I do want to say, I was so unhappy to see her get killed.
Well, I mean,
Yes. Like,
why even bother having her? What did she serve no purpose?
That's exactly. Like, I feel bad for the actress. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just
Totally. She was really beautiful, and Deltans are fun. Like, actually, I think there's a lot of fun that one can have with Deltans, so to speak.
Well, yeah, I would think so.
But plot-wise, and she's lovely. Chris says she got killed. Is she Scottish?
All I know, you guys, I'm glad John paused it here because I just want to say I want to see this team up with these two actors. I want it now.
I love that RoboCop has jowls.
I did have to erase the little thing that normally goes under his chin.
Thank you. Every picture of me, I love when you erase the stuff down here. All right, back in here.
The man in the RoboCop outfit takes the case and opens it to reveal the least intimidating looking weapon of mass destruction ever. Joe is shocked. That's impossible. I had that thing destroyed.
Dun, dun, dun.
But the masked man transports away with the weapon. Flashback again. Joe as the rookie Terran Emperor, with their high school crush San kneeling before her. He now has a face only a mother could love. He is presenting his Empress that same weapon. It's so powerful, he says, the people who made it took their own lives after it was complete. Okay. San and Joe reminisce about the bond they once shared, not to mention the makeout sessions in the backseat of Dad's shuttlecraft. But now, San dramatically declares the beautiful girl he knew has been murdered. She is now more machine than woman. Oh, wait, that's Darth Vader. San collapses to the floor after taking the same poison she fed her family, telling her before he kneels over dead, "No one wants to live in your world, Emperor. You are a monster." Yeah. Learn to take rejection gracefully. Flash forward again. Alok is mildly curious about the wimpy-looking weapon. "Not so fast, buddy boy," says Joe. "Share a little bit about yourself first." More exposition! Yay! Turns out Alok is a human from 20th century Earth who was in hibernation and then turned into a superpowered augment to fight in a war.
That's a lot of story.
I did terrible things, all for a monster like you.
I'm sorry, Eric. Was that?
No, an all story we never needed.
You picked up on that too, Eric?
Like, okay.
I mean,
Hey, it gave me a chance to make John Con, okay?
Oh yeah, no, that's important. We got to have that. No, it's like another handsome boyfriend character. Anyway, I'm jumping the gun. We'll talk about this soon.
Appears that the Strange New Worlds retcon, putting the eugenic wars in the mid-21st century, has been retconned back to the 1990s.
Funny that.
Okay. Hey, at least this revelation is pertinent to the movie's plot. Not. Joe tells the Section 31 ragtag team of misfits about the weapon. It's called the Godsend. The next full minute of screen time is taken up by an unfunny bit about the weapon's name. Godsend or God's End? Poor Eric.
Okay, so I wanted to play a little game with you guys and with everybody. What do you think the weapon looks like? The Godsend. What do you think it looks like? Because none of us think it looks like a weapon. Raphael says it looked like a disco ball for the club. I wouldn't say no. I thought it looked like something that you would burn incense in.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I actually thought it looked like one of those puzzles Tom Hanks had to decode in the Da Vinci Code.
Oh, that's a good call too. That's a good call. So Melanie says it looks like peanut hamper, which is one of my favorite recurring jokes from Lower Decks. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess that's it for now.
The incense burner's a good one. That's a good one.
I mean, I love that it has a certain style and that it has a certain Asian art style. That's kind of nice, but it does not look deadly.
No. Well, hence the addition of the big red button.
It's got a big red button. Chris says puzzle ring. Yes. Joshua says really powerful Dungeons and Dragon dice. Yes. And William says Indiana Jones puzzle. Yes, another
There you
good
go.
call, I would say. All right, back into the beats. These beats are great, by the way, Joe. I
Thank
absolutely love what you've done with the place.
Yuck, As I told you before, I had to
You know, we need
to doing more. This is getting long. I better
It's,
stop it right here.
it's also a little like the holy hand grenade from Holy Grail.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Oh
See, I'm
my
glad
God.
we stopped to discuss this because now it's seeming a little bit more threatening. Maybe. No.
I think that gives it a credibility that it should thank you for.
Laugh track so we know when to chuckle.
Oh, hang on. That was a good.
Jojo had the
That was a good.
weapon's name.
Okay.
Godsend or God's End? Yuck, yuck, yuck. You know, we need a laugh track so we know when to chuckle. Jojo had the super weapon built as a deterrent to rebellion.
True.
It can incinerate a quadrant full of planets in the blink of an eye. I know, it sounds preposterous.
Yeah.
But hey, if an alien kid can make all dilithium inert in the 32nd century just by crying, well, I guess stranger things have happened.
Discovery.
Jojo suspects Data No has crossed over from the mirror universe. Alok interrogates him. Data admits that he worked at a Terran Empire weapons manufacturer. He stole the weapon, hoping to sell it. He came into the Prime Universe through a rift that opened when 2 ion storms converged. The passage will open again in 4 hours. The Terrans will cross over, seeking the weapon. Who was that masked man, though? Well, it definitely wasn't the Lone Ranger. Time for a sudden, volume-blasting explosion. You know, when the sound mixing is so bad, you crank the volume to hear the dialogue, then an unexpected blast of loudness rattles your TV speakers.
Yeah, just
Anyway, Data is dead. The body count is just getting started. Alok decides this is all pretty suspect. They must have a mole in their midst. The Section 31 team members, who have reappeared out of nowhere, give each other the stink eye. But there is no time for that now. There are only 4 hours until the Terrans arrive.
Ooh.
Garrett found an old ship they can use to get off the planet. How did they get there again? Must have been some barely audible exposition I missed. Alok orders the others to set up an antenna to alert Starfleet. But someone ripped out all the wires on the antenna, and the old ship is missing a $1.98 prop that makes it fly. While they work on fixing the antenna, Zeph goes missing. Did Zeph sabotage it? Is he the dun 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 mole? They find poor old Zeph dead by a tree, and the body count continues.
Now, I just want to throw in, while we're clocking this movie for being terribly unoriginal, this is so Suicide Squad to me. Like, we introduced these characters, we showed you they could be useful, they're dead.
Suicide Squad and Rogue One, I believe.
Oh, Rogue One. Yeah, a lot of people. Rogue One. Yeah.
The body count continues in the
Jojo spots a brunette hair on Zeph's bodysuit. Hey, sharp eye. So is Garrett the culprit?
And I must agree with this graphic. These names are terrible.
I mean,
awful.
Dada, no, I don't want to eat my peas.
Zeph. Yeah, big robot guy. What do you call him? Zeph. Oh, well, that's bad. And melee.
I mean, they're all verbs, or I mean, at least I kind of wanted Quasi to die just because that name was so stupid.
Quasi's a terrible name. Quasi's like a Spider-Man from the early 80s kind of a villain name. It's terrible. It's a baby name. And happy Lunar New Year, everyone. Happy Lunar New Year. Were there any Bothans in Rogue One? If you know, you know. All right, back to the beats.
Oh, not me. Well, okay. Then why do you have some of Zeph's blood under your fingernails, lassie? So it's not looking good for Garrett. But the tension is short-lived when they acquire some footage from Zeph's bodysuit camera.
Oh, good.
It shows Zeph fighting someone we can't see. Well, Giorgio figures it out. The little tiny mollusk Fuzz set his Vulcan android host on autopilot, then flew inside Zeph's bodysuit to take control of it.
I guess.
Not only did it kill Zeph, but it planted the fake evidence on Garrett.
Yes.
Fuzz is the mole. What a shocker. Volume blasting action sequence time. Fuzz zips away on a high-speed platform, with Giorgio and Alok in hot pursuit. Alok gets knocked off the speeding platform. Quasi saves him by shapeshifting into a web and catching him. Giorgio catches up to Fuzz, who reveals that San is still alive. Before she can find out more, he beams away to a ship where, indeed, he mates San, who now possesses the Godsend. So San is not dead after all.
Oh, good.
Looks like he built up an immunity to the poison he took in the last flashback. In 2 hours, the Terran Empire will take over the Prime Universe. That is, unless Giorgio and Section 31 can stop them. Alok reveals he took the coil from the ship in order to ferret out the mole. So now he replaces it. Good move, Alok. You know, it's not as if time is of the essence or anything.
Good point.
Time to take off in the crappy garbage scow rust bucket. But first, the Section 31 lackeys need to steal the trash truck from Captain Quark and his crew. No, not the Ferengi. Richard Benjamin. They boot off the refuse-collecting crew, except for the cute clones and their double mint gum. Once the scow...
All right, you have to know that there was a show called Quark. It was a Buck Henry show, I believe. Was it also a oh my gosh, was it a Mel Brooks show as well, Joe?
No, I don't believe so. I think Buck Henry.
Just Buck.
And I have to
straight up-
apologize. I left a big dot on Quark's face. Sorry about that.
Well, I thought you left it there because that's not the right Quark.
Oh, that's why. Exactly. Yeah.
So you've got Eric as the captain, Quark.
Captain Quark. Yeah.
Am I Ficus?
No, you're like Big Brain.
Oh, I'm Big Brain, of course.
I think I'm Ficus. Didn't Ficus turn into a person or just was always a plant?
Ficus was a person who was a plant. Yes.
I think I'm Ficus then.
And that's Conrad Bain down
Yes, it
there,
is.
smiling. Oh,
Wait,
it's a
wouldn't be
fun,
right next to the Double Mint twins.
it's a fun show. You know, maybe dig it up sometime. You could have some fun with this. Anyway, here we go.
Well, the
Back in-
connected
it's
beings
hijacked.
are all on a big space barge, or garbage scow. So
yeah, they were
It's a
interstellar
remix.
garbage. All right, here we
acting underway, the Section 31ers approach San's ship and disable his shields. Giorgio and Alok beam aboard the ship. Time for Giorgio and San to duke it out again in a fight to the death. Alok and Fuzz trade punches too, begging the question, who is stronger anyway? An augment from the eugenics wars or a Vulcan android?
Man,
The
boy.
teeny mollusk parasite escapes in a tiny shuttle. The Godsend weapon gets knocked over, activating its detonation sequence. Well, just turn the damn thing off. Well, sorry, there's no failsafe. Giorgio tries to sweet-talk San, but he ain't taking the bait this time. Alok manages to deal a mortal blow to Fuzz. Below decks, in the garbage bins, Garrett finds an old teddy bear and rigs the toy to explode.
What's up with that?
No, we're not kidding. The explosion takes out the tiny mollusk ship in the process. San grabs a sword and nearly stabs Giorgio with it. I'll teach you to burn my pretty face with a hot sword. But Giorgio turns the tables and stabs her former squeeze in the throat. The big ion storm is about to rip open the rift between the two universes. Jar Joe aims the ship directly at her own stopping grounds. She's ready to sacrifice herself to snuff out the Terrans once and for all. Alok is prepared to die for the cause too. But Quasi beams them back to the scow just in time. The Godspeed's explosion collapses the passage. The Section 31 anti-heroes have saved the day.
Thank God it's over. Oh, not yet.
A few weeks later, the ever-covert Section 31 conducts their super-secret business in full view of Giorgio's bar patrons.
I know.
Her new buddies convince her to join up full-time. Giorgio shrugs coyly, then concedes that somebody's got to keep things lively. Even the newly promoted Lieutenant Commander Garrett is back on board, biding her time, keeping watch on Section 31, awaiting her assignment to the Enterprise C, where she will no doubt live happily ever after. And Fuzz is back. No, not the lint you find in the laundry. It's another Vulcan android. This time the robot has a nifty new hairstyle, but another annoying accent. It is now controlled by the tiny mollusk wife named Wisp. Message coming in from Control. No, not that Control. Or even the one from Discovery Season 2. And hey, it's Jamie Lee Curtis, with purple skin and little transistors embedded in her forehead. Time for your next assignment, you crazy kids. Your next mission, whether you choose to accept it or not, locate the lunatic who greenlit this hot mess of a movie and turn him into the Federation Funny Farm, where he'll be restrained and prevented from making a sequel. Inexplicably, Giorgio orders the entire huge space station and all of their visitors to leave the parking lot and go to warp. You know, this is something Deep Space Nine could never do. Weird.
Oh, we made it through.
Folks, that 15 minutes could save you an hour and a half.
That it has that going for it. And may I take a moment, guys? Eric, on behalf of John and myself, we want to really thank you for sitting through this hot mess. Would you be inclined, if we haven't totally turned you off from Star Trek for all time? Not that this is Star Trek.
No.
And join us sometime soon for a good episode?
Yes, of course. I've got the shirt.
All right, well, there you go.
Hey!
Oh, it shall be done. Next week, we're going to the real Terran universe. And we will be looking at TOS, Those Old Scientists.
I love this episode.
The original series, and Mirror Mirror. We will be recapping and reviewing Mirror Mirror with you next week. So be sure to join us if you want to be here for that. And Eric is back. And it's going to be a palate cleanser that no sherbet could even dream of being. So
I don't need to scrub myself with steel wool to get clean. I just wait for this.
Yes. Oh my God. The wisecracks are flying like crazy. Melanie, I love the Twinkie reference. Beady. Right, book. Yes, so Mirror Mirror, we'll be doing that next week. Oh my gosh. After we do beats, we like to do
And this one's so down and dirty.
Let's get down and dirty, folks. How do you feel? What are your reactions? What are your emotions? How are you feeling at this point? Because you got to be feeling something.
I'm feeling unclean.
That's legit. That's very legit. I respect that.
First of all, can I just say that the music for Beats made me feel like I was in a stage version of Glengarry Glen Ross.
Awesome. Listen, Eric, I provide John with the raw material, but half of the humor, if there comes from that music. Obviously,
Music was awesome.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. It's a little something AI and I whipped up. I'd like to say I did more work, but really the robot did most of the work. Chris says that disco ball comes in handy.
Yeah, where was that when we were trying to do disco nights last year?
So Melody says Archer's Enterprise mirror episodes were interesting. The Tholian time travel web. I love those episodes.
Yeah, that's two of my favorites.
That is definitely like top 15 Trek for me. But it's a very crowded list. So both of those. Joe always likes to remind us that there was talk. Now, was this about season 4 or season 5, Joe? Of Enterprise.
Oh, well, this is season 4 because there was only 4 seasons. Eric, if you haven't seen this one, being a TOS fan, it's a great one. It's late in the 4th and final season, in a Mirror Darkly parts 1 and 2, and it's great. I mean, it harkens back to the original series on a lot of levels, and in a good way, good satisfying way.
Yes,
not like the POS we saw tonight.
I wondered about that, Melanie. Spoiler, Hoshi Sato becomes one of the biggest characters, well, certainly in the story that we see on Enterprise. She's very treacherous and very sexy, and I always wondered, like, was there some relationship to Philippa? I don't know, but William, you are absolutely right. Let me go back to Joe. I finally learned how to isolate some of the previous comments.
Oh, wonderful!
So,
well, I sometimes wonder about Hoshi and Giorgio as well, but I know this much: Hoshi never ate eyeballs. That much they don't have in common.
That you know of.
That we know of, yes.
Okay, William, I had not seen the Gene Roddenberry Jr. review, but any sort of summation you could give us of that would be valuable, because I wonder, Gene Roddenberry Jr. was an exec producer on this movie. He was going to be an exec producer on the series that this movie was supposed to launch. And let me ask you about this, Eric, because you've been in a few pilot episodes in your lifetime of television.
And I'll admit to most of them.
Did this one feel like a failed pilot, or did it feel like they had developed this series so they might as well do something? What did it feel like to you?
Well, I mean, it feels like, it feels like probably exactly what it was. The movie that should have been the pilot for the series, and then it just didn't cut it, and so they released it on its own as a movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how much the pandemic and stuff, I really don't know the history too much. Like, I don't know how much of the disruption caused it to not go to series.
I can tell you it was huge. They had lined up ever since they got into the storyline of the Mirror Universe and the Mirror Giorgio. They had planned on doing a series. It was a very hot idea for them around 2019. And they were supposed to start filming the series. It had the green light. They were supposed to start filming it in May of 2020. And I don't know where any of you were in that area of 2020, but the lockdown started in March.
Right here. I was right here in this little box. That's where I was in May of 2020.
Right. So
because all the press, like all the promo shots for this are all series promo shots. You know what I mean? Like, it's not,
Yeah, it looked like a series in how they were rolling it together and how they were talking about it as well.
Well, it definitely plays like 2.5 episodes of the unsold series. I mean, they gave you little place cards to tell you, okay, this was episode 1, this was episode 2.
Yeah.
And obviously the ending. So
right. it felt a lot to me, and I don't mean this in a good way. It felt a lot to me like Assignment Earth, in that it was very much a
Oh, yeah.
shoehorned, sort of. This isn't a backdoor pilot because they didn't put it on the series Discovery,
Right.
but they spun it off pretty hard. And it did have that, like, well, I know we're going to have lots of adventures with you in the future. Nope, never happened.
Well, and although also not meant in a good way, but it also reminded me of Star Trek Phase 2, the undone series in the 70s.
Right.
The pilot episode there, In Thy Image, being reworked into the motion picture.
That's right. Yeah, it's interesting that all of that, and that's
Even my dog hated it. Can you hear that? Here's his
Oh, sorry, puppy.
Bruiser too. I held him. Held his face towards the screen.
But guys, can you imagine if this was going to be like a 10-episode season 1 originally? Can you imagine how horrendous that would have been?
I cannot tell you how I would have approached it after watching this. I cannot even say I would.
You know what? It's one of these. Honest to God, if that had been the pilot without the pickup, this whole thing would have gone back in and gotten reworked, because you can't watch that and go, oh, okay, this is a series,
Right?
Because it can't make up its mind what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Look, I feel bad about I feel bad about talking bad about it. God knows you go through my resume, but it's a little. I feel bad because we're all sort of part of this world, and we're all creating, and it's great that stuff like this gets created. This was just a swing and a miss.
I'm with you. I like to be fair to the creatives, and I don't like to rag on actors. Like, for me to say the guy who played Fuzz was like the dollar store Ryan Reynolds, that would be mean, and that would be wrong for me to point out that, this is a sort of
really
role.
doing hypothetically, so you're not really saying it now.
No, we don't like to pick on, people trying to be creative, but this does not feel like that.
No, and there is a whole, I think where a lot of these, because there is so much product being churned out right now, and a lot of it is all just middle of the road copies of other stuff. You know who does Ryan Reynolds really well? Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
And there's a reason that movies like Deadpool work, because there's one guy. What I loved about, like, Hugh Jackman, what I loved about Hugh Jackman was he stayed in his lane, man. Like, he knew that character. Love Hugh Jackman, love Ryan Reynolds. And that's what made that movie work. Like, no, everybody wasn't trying to be Ryan Reynolds. Everybody wasn't trying to come up with the quips. And you see that sort of, and because that kind of banter works, you see it bleed over into all this other stuff. And this is how we wind up with these awful God's End or Godsend.
Oh, God, it's like,
right? Because
it's meaning to the word cringe.
See, now I feel bad about that, because Sam Richardson, who played Quasi, is really funny. There was a show that he did with the guy.
Nothing against any of these people. Do you know what I mean? It's
because they didn't write it.
It's a swing and a miss.
Yeah. I didn't hate the direction, honestly. I think what I hated was the script.
The script was just the script, the tone. And I'll tell you something else that drove me crazy about this that we haven't even really touched on was, and this, I guess this falls into the direction thing. Like, just because you can do these insane, like, AI generated shots of going through tunnels and going through doesn't mean you should fucking do it. Like it just becomes overkill.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, the story on the people. You have Michelle Yeoh, who like even now is just a badass. Let her be a badass. You don't have to constantly have the camera zooming around so you can't see what they're doing. Let the actors just do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think now's the appropriate time to share with you the quote I told you before the show, but there's another commentator online I follow named Doomcock. Some of you may know this individual, and I love this description of Michelle Yeoh, and definitely want to talk about her for a minute more. But perfect description, now I'm losing it. Crouching
Tiger.
Crouching
Hidden
Tiger,
talent.
hidden talent. There you go. Thank you. And it was her talent was hidden because I don't think she was plumbing it per se.
I love her so much, and she
what a
is,
waste.
and she is just such a badass. Like if you would have written that character to the level that she could have taken it, I mean, my God.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Eric, we saw indications of that in some of the Discovery stuff before she was maybe set to
We talked about that. Like the first couple of episodes of Discovery, she's fantastic. She's great.
Yeah.
You know what I enjoyed her the most in this role?
You would put her in charge of any starship, any.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I did enjoy a lot of the action. I totally agree. Michelle Yeoh, I always want to see more of her.
Yeah.
Whatever she's doing.
I think the camera totally got in the way of all the action. And then you have all this action that's happening. It's like it all starts to feel very much. And again, just because you do it doesn't mean you should. It was like that final season of Game of Thrones where you had these enormous battles going on, but the camera is all up tight and close, and you can't see what the hell is happening.
Yeah, that actually
Right?
my lovely wife, who is a big Star Trek fan, hates that. She hates the single shot. Show us some depth. That's actually one of the reasons why
the camera back and just let them work.
Yeah. Eric has actually directed television, so when he says it, it means something.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh.
But no, when you're watching it, you want to get, this is why movies like Kingsman work so well. Because that camera is moving and it all feels like one shot, but you're following the action. Like you're not like this all felt like you were following something else. Like you were trying to keep, it was more about sort of the world and feeling like if you moved the camera, it felt like they were doing more, and it just wasn't the case.
Well, one thing I was going to add to the Down and Dirty too is that a lot of critics have said this is not Star Trek, which I reluctantly have to agree with. It's also not Section 31. I mean, as originally depicted in DS9 and
meets Guardians of the Galaxy meets
there's a little Suicide Squad. There's some Star Wars in there. It's like they shoved every scrap, every little cut off bit of every science fiction, everything from the last 30 years, and made hamburger out of it. And
I had to stop myself from making
fun is sort of as badasses as the guys that you send in when you need something done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there was
watching these guys.
Yeah. I mean, and Joe brings this up in the Beats, which is absolutely, I think, so rock solidly worth talking about. If you have a secret group, why are they seen at a bar yelling to each other? Why would I join your secret group? What? Like, there's nothing.
And how does Michelle Yeoh in the Chomp of Wine Eyeball pick them all out? Like, It's the lamest group of secret operatives in the universe. And why does everything have to be the end of the goddamn universe? Can we
That's an excellent point.
Can we just have storylines about there's just an evil dude and they need her to come help? Does it have to be the end of all existence as we know it every fucking episode?
This is always my complaint about Doctor Who. Like, I was never a hardcore Doctor Whovian, but every time I've tried to watch it, it's what's at stake is reality itself.
Right? Yes.
Great.
Right.
Every time. Hey, we're gonna march through because we might come in under an hour on this one, guys. Well, this is the part of the show where we talk about who and what we appreciate in this episode.
Well, I mean, John, this is the Mirror Universe base, so we'll say it's least valuable players this week. How's that sound, guys?
I'll take either best or least. And oh my gosh, anybody want to nominate anybody for best or least valuable?
Well, I think one of them is obvious for least, but might give that one to you, John.
He's not saying I'm least valuable. He's saying
no, not at all.
See, I know, we're good friends. I find the entire use of fuzz the worst thing I've ever seen in Star Trek. Just the absolute, especially with how they wind it up they tie it in a bow at the end. Oh, he's really a Southern belle. Look, I don't like going after actors. This guy's probably great in what he usually does. South African, by the way, South African actor, not a big resume. His name's Sven Ruigrok.
I'm sure the resume will grow and leaps and bounds now.
I hated everything about that. Just the fact that he's playing this weird acting Vulcan, that would be like the biggest deal ever.
Right. Like in an entire bar full of that guy. Like honest to God. And then it's like, this is the plan. This is how we're going to get him. Like the most convoluted, ridiculous goddamn plan on the face of the planet. And then Michelle Yeoh's like, you know what? I got a better plan, which is just as convoluted, just as like, come on, you guys.
Like, that's a play off an old trope, right? Because in Ocean's 11, they will show the sequence of all the things that are going to happen in the plan. Because it's a caper and a heist.
Right.
And this was like that. This was a heist. And so they show how it's going to work. And I thought it was really funny that they're like, and this is what Zeph is going to do because he's, the thing that he does in the group is he's super strong and he punches people. And later, Alok just does it. So now, like, Zeph doesn't have to be here. Oh, and then he ends up dead.
And he's easily offended.
Not good storytelling.
Man.
Eric, anybody you found least or most?
Least or most? You know what? I love Michelle Yeoh so much.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess for least is how they wrote that character.
Yeah.
Like I just go over the possibilities of what she could have been. Yeah. And it just makes me angry. Yeah. I'm like, you have this insane talent you have to work with, and then this is what you give her. This is what you do. Like that stuff just makes me angry.
Joe, you want to jump on that, or you want to jump to the next segment?
I think I'm just going to share mine with you, John, which is why I handed it over, because I knew you could diss on Fuzz even more effectively than I. So if we have room for a couple tidbits, I have those if you want to go there.
Yeah. My favorite part of the show, Joe Townsville shares Townsville's tidbits. Little bits of information you may have missed. or that you would be very happy to hear Joe talk about. Joe, give us some tidbits, my friend.
I kept it succinct, so here we go. We do have to point out, because let's connect this to Star Trek somehow. What do you think, guys? We did get some Star Trek aliens from past efforts. Of course, Quasi being the same cameloid race as Marta from Star Trek 6.
I didn't know. I didn't catch that.
Which is really weird too, because he does this like thing where when he changes, and it's like Marty's when it.
That's
and
right.
Thinking, it takes him 10 seconds to change into something else. So let's just shoot him while he's changing. Okay, whatever. There we go again. Okay. We got to see a Andorian eunuch at one point very briefly. I don't know why they chose to put that guy in some kind of body stocking instead of just giving him some Speedos or whatever.
Well, he's a eunuch. Why is he at a brothel again? I don't know.
Well, again, not among the many things that don't make a lot of sense, you know. I did fudge the ending of the movie a little bit in the beats. The Section 31ers are actually on their way to I don't have the name in front of me, it doesn't matter. But they're on the way to the former home planet of Tasha and Ashara Yar.
Oh, wow. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, a lot going on there. So, you know, she'd be a little kid at that point. And you know what? I think that's about it for tidbits from me.
All right. Well, I do want to remind everybody that next week at 7 p.m. Pacific and 10 p.m. Eastern, we are reconvening. I hope everyone will come back together so that we can do one of the best Star Trek productions that was ever made. That would be Mirror Mirror from the first series, and Eric will be with us once again. And then just going on this week, the shows that we do here at Weber Internet Thingy. Coming up is Mr. Weber's Webbo Mystery, where I play an old-time radio show for you, and I give you, a little trivia to go with it. We're going to be introducing you, perhaps, to Ellery Queen. If you're already a fan, this is going to be a great show, and you're really going to enjoy it. The Man Who Was Murdered by Installments. That's coming up on Thursday, again, 7 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, Retro Rangers Sunday is Groundhog's Day.
Oh, goodness.
So we will be doing that as our subject. We'll be talking about time loops and how they figure into various properties. Obviously, we can't show you Groundhog's Day because they will sue the pants off us.
But there's more.
But we do have some great clips. And, of course, our resident science geek, Craig Lubin, will be here to talk with us about time loops and the Jinn particle, which I'm very, very excited about.
And I will be making a book recommendation for the first time that's not one of mine.
Oh, hey. All right. And there's a couple of movie recommendations we can give you too, because I've actually discovered some time loop movies that you would never know existed. So we will be talking about that this coming Sunday. And of course, our Sunday show is 5 p.m. on the West Coast and 8 p.m. on the Beast Coast. So join us for Retro Rangers, won't you? Gentlemen, thank you so much for giving us just a much better show than this subject deserves. If you don't mind me saying so. And
you know what? You got it. Sometimes you got to take the bad with the good, just like in the Facts of Life.
You do. You do. William wants to share his TV show idea. Absolutely, William. Where is it? Okay. My idea was TV show called Star Trek Infinite, where the captain and the crew are part of Section 31. They travel through time to correct the timeline. The starship is built with hologram and disguised. I like it.
Sounds very intriguing.
And
I don't want to dilute that compliment because I sincerely think that's an intriguing idea.
Yeah.
But my God, just about anything would be better than what we saw this week.
Oh, please. Let's get this man a meeting, right? William, get your good suit ready, because we're going to get you a meeting at Paramount. Hopefully they're listening to some good people nowadays. Raphael says, entertaining. Who did you do it with this subject matter? Who did you do it? How did you do it with this subject matter, baby?
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
didn't know. Everybody's rattled. We can't talk very well. They're having trouble typing.
Oh, please. We're all a bit thrown. Miguel. Hey, Miguel. The writer Craig Sweeney failed to include an actual redemption in his redemption story. That's an excellent point. I didn't end with liking the character any more than at the beginning. The little love story didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything. I actually like Son.
Right?
I mean, they did with Darth Vader, but it took 3 movies, and because they're both genocidal multi-murderers who eat eyeballs in one case.
I think what they were thinking was it was big. It was big. That's why it was good.
Oh, yes.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Next week, 7 p.m. on the West Coast. We're going to do something really good. And that...
and goatee.
And Eric, tell your puppy it'll be a good episode next week.
That your pop
LLAP, everybody.
warm up your TV. Capt'n John, Cmdr Joe got something to see. We're all back in time to the golden past with the Retro Rangers. Oh, it's such a blast. We're flying high with the Retro Ranger. Give it a try and don't be a stranger. Ranger, strap yourself in for a fun-filled flight. Retro Rangers are flying tonight. Retro Rangers, Retro Rangers, Retro Rangers, Retro Rangers.